and I was looking for something. I knew that I wanted a hallmark of my career to be distinctive settings. I've always felt that fantasy should be the most unique of all genres.
When you hear the word fantasy, what does come into your mind? Castles, kings, wizards, and noble houses fighting for powers, mostly from Lord of the Rings or Game of Thrones. And that makes sense, cause these two have dominated pop culture fantasy for decades, mainly because of their massive movies and TV adaptations. And even today, they shape what most people think fantasy is supposed to look like. But if we really think about it, their words are still deeply rooted in medieval European history. Kings, castles, noble houses, these were real things and real structures from a real era. And fantasy, by definition, should feel completely unfamiliar, something that could never exist. Yet, for a long time, the genre kept repeating the same Tolkien patterns. So, if this is what fantasy become, then what does true fantasy actually look like? This is where Mistborn, written by Brandon Sanderson, comes in picture. Mistborn completely changed how fantasy was seen in book culture. There were no shining castles or classic kingdoms. Instead, we get a world buried under ash, wrapped in mist with a red sun hanging over everything. And most importantly, the ruler of this world is not a hidden threat waiting to be defeated. He is an open tyrant who already won. And within this strange setting, the most revolutionary idea was the magic system. In most fantasy stories, magic exists without explanation. A wizard casts a spell and that's it. Mistborn rejects that entirely. Sanderson fused magic with logic and structures, creating allomancy, a system built on rules, limits, costs, and consequences. Power comes from consuming metals, and every ability follows clear principle. Magic was no longer vague or mystical. It became something you could understand, analyze, and even outthink. One of the most special things about Mistborn is that it does not remain trapped in a single era. Its world evolves and grows with times, much like how Avatar the Last Airbender progresses into the Legend of Korra worlds, where the setting reflects history, development, and social changes. After Era 1, nearly 1,000 years passes by Era 2. The world has moved forward, cities are larger, technology is developing, and culture has shifted. And this progress is not cosmetic, it affects politics, daily life, and conflict. Most importantly, the magic system evolves as well. Sanderson gave fantasy a new identity, a new aesthetic, and a new visual language. But a new setting and a smart magic system alone don't make a story special. What truly changed everything was the kind of story Mistborn chose to tell. Instead of traditional quest, Sanderson built a fantasy story around thieves, criminals, rebels, and broken people trying to overthrow an impossible system. The story explores power, belief, control, and hope through rebellions rather than destiny. The characters feel human. They are shaped by fear, trauma, and doubt. They make mistakes and carry emotional weight. And that emotional realism is what makes readers connect so deeply with the story. Fantasy was trapped in a Tolkien-shaped loop for a long time. Many authors were afraid to step outside it, afraid that trying something new would break what readers expected fantasy to be. Then Sanderson came along and opened a new path forward. He showed that fantasy did not have to cling to medieval templates or repeat the same hero journey story again and again. He gave writers permission to imagine freely, to build worlds that feel truly unfamiliar, and to stay with their characters instead of forcing them to carry the weight of being a chosen one.
But I had grown up reading a lot of wonderful books, don't get me wrong, that had pretty generic settings. They had felt trapped in this idea of a medieval European kingdom that just felt like it could have been from our world. And I wanted something that didn't feel like it could be our world. That if you walked outside, you saw a vista that just could not be from Earth. And that's where Mistborn came from.